Hey YouTube, how you doing? We're gonna jump into one real quick Qatar video, and like I was telling the chat here, really, I'm not interested in the sports shit. Don't give a fuck. But the one interesting question that I think has been coming up is it fair for Western people from the Western world, Western governments, to criticize Qatar for its human rights violations? You know, in the face of all the human rights violations from the first world. So I think that's Pantone is a color chart. Yeah, it was showing there's an actual color specifically for Qatar. That's something else. Lenny's talking about something else. I'm sorry, deviation. Anyway, there's this video that kind of lays out the argument and tries to discuss that. So I thought it'd be cool to show. Here we go.
Of Qatar's World Cup unfair? I just spent a couple of days in Doha covering the tournament.
Hold on, start over.
Is criticism of Qatar's World Cup unfair? I just spent a couple of days in Doha covering the tournament. And that is exactly what many Arab fans told me when I asked them about Qatar's human rights record.
Once again, and I'm going to repeat this, people that make arguments around fairness are usually intellectually not prepared to have a real political debate. If you live in a fantasy world where things are supposed to be fair, where you're not getting ripped off, and where the universe is at best completely indifferent to your suffering, you're just not living in reality. Life isn't fair. No one ever said it was fair. We struggle hilariously, humans struggle hilariously to make it fair and fail. Okay? So people that just go, it's not fair, I feel make really weak arguments.
لا غير لا غير حكم أنها دولة إسلامية ودولة عربية.
يبغوا أوروبا هي دائما ولا الدول الأخرى هي دائما اللي تستضيف كأس العالم.
In the run-up to the tournament, some Western politicians...
No, of course not common thinker. That's the thing, is that it's a struggle. It's an eternal struggle. I don't think we'll ever reach, we'll never have that utopian state of, fairness, true equity, and true equality, right? I don't think we'll have that. But of course we need to try. The fairness argument being made is that, oh well, yeah, maybe Qatar had some human rights violations, but what about fill in the blank? And it's like we need to stop having this conversation about, oh well, I mean, one human rights disaster is one too many. And that's the conversation we need to be having. And this conversation about fairness and privilege, and it avoids the real conversation, which is, okay, all of our hands are bloody. How do we actually fix that moving forward? Because what we're doing now is just wasting our time faffing about, pointing fingers and trying best to quantify blame. Right? Who's more to blame, right? It's like, well, I mean, yeah, if we're going to quantify dead bodies, obviously the Western world has a body count much higher than Qatar. So does that mean we can literally never have a conversation with Qatar about, its human rights violations? We can't criticize the World Cup for going there. Can't criticize the fucking royal princes, right? We can't fall into that trap. And that fairness argument leads down that road of wasting your time faffing about having an argument about nonsense, when you should be having an argument about how do we, the United States, Qatar, how do we actually prevent human rights disasters, right? Well, for the United States, it's quite easy. Stop dropping drone bombs on wedding parties. That's a good start. But maybe for Qatar, it would be pay your people better, have higher safety standards, yada, 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 yada. That's why it's just a very easy way to deflect against a real conversation.
Like Germany's interior minister criticized Qatar. She said human rights must be a factor when picking a World Cup host. Qatari's foreign minister fired back. He told a German newspaper that
it's going to be a whataboutism.
The German government has no problem with us when it comes to energy partnerships or
that's
investments.
Interesting. Ooh, that's interesting. You got no problem buying our oil.
And he added that he is annoyed by the double standards.
There it is. There's the whataboutism. I was worried. I was worried we weren't going to get it.
That feeling of being treated unfairly resonates with Qataris I spoke to in Doha.
نتمنى ان حد ينتقدنا بشكل ايجابي لكن الفتره
Does anybody believe this?
Spoke to in Doha.
نتمنى ان
How does one say such a thing in Qatar? Come on, man. Come on. We are happy to get constructive criticism. Really, really, no kidding. What do you think about instituting a welfare state? Ah, blah, 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 I hate you, I hate you, I hate you.
حد ينتقدنا بشكل ايجابي لكن الفتره الاخيره قبل البطوله بشهر تبدا تنتقدني معناه ان في ايديولوجيه
شيء في نقد فالناس لازم تطالع السايد الزين.
We, the media, are also accused of being unfair. Western outlets, including ours, Deutsche Welle, have reported extensively on Qatar's poor human rights record. We've shed light on how same-sex relations are a crime in the country. We have
That's not constructive. We don't like that kind of criticism. Next.
highlighted issues of gender inequality and investigated the sometimes
That's not very constructive either. We don't like that criticism. Next one.
deadly working conditions that migrant workers faced building stadiums.
Females aren't human beings. That's not very constructive criticism. Okay, next one, please.
Critics say this all adds up to an unwelcoming environment for many fans of the sport. But almost every Qatari and Arab I spoke to felt that this focus is disproportionate and that it promotes a stereotypical negative image of their region.
أنا بصراحة انصدمت يوم شفت الميديا ودرست.
That is, I think that's this, and this is why I wanted to show it, because yeah, the media does a great job completely blowing things out of proportion, and it never likes to blow things out of proportion when the United States did it. How long was that story in the media about Joe Biden approving the missile strike on that van? On that, in Afghanistan, right as the final pullout is happening, like we strike this missile that we thought was filled with terrorists, and it was surrounded by children. The person driving it was a pro-American who had worked for relief agencies. How long was that in the story? Is that story ever brought up when the United States is brought up? Oh yeah, the United States is pretty good, but remember when we, did that, horrific war crime that one time? Remember the My Lai massacre? Remember that? Is that ever really brought up? So it is a good point. And, it's interesting when you leave the United States and you start seeing how the United States covers other topics and how hyperbolic they can be and how, dishonest is a good word to put it, how dishonest they can be sometimes when covering things. This is a natural reaction. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I live here. Like, it's actually more complicated than that. And that's fair. That's fair. It's fair, right? Because the United States government's complete hypocrites, Stop doing all these human rights disasters, dropping drone bombs, hitting that drone bomb button as quickly as they can like a fucking speed runner.
الموضوع شفت إن حتى الأرقام اللي حطوهم كلها مخاطئة.
So much you can say negativity towards the Arab world, and this time we can show it to everyone that no, this is not how it is.
They told me the progress Qatar has made to
So you did that by, working people literally to death in the scorching hot sun and, lying to everybody and, pretending like you were going to, be more socially progressive than what you were. And then you banned beer 2 days before and a bunch of other issues. If it was just the beer thing, no one would trip, but it's not just the beer thing, is it?
Host the tournament is completely ignored. For example, the recently amended labor laws.
اللي قاعد أشوف إن أوضاعهم وايد تحسنت.
وإحنا تقبلنا الانتقادات وحسنا وايد أمور من هالانتقادات. يعني way better ما كنا عليه قبل يعني.
نستخدم الحين المترو قبل كنا نستخدم السيارات.
In a region often torn by conflict, fans from across the Arab world told me they are proud that finally a Muslim and Arab country could pull off an event like the World Cup so well.
حتى مباراة قطر يعني وأنا قاعدة أشوف المباراة جاتني الصيحة والله العظيم يعني تشوف كمية العرب اللي قاعد تشجع قطر كمية الناس اللي قاعدين يعني على قلب واحد.
احنا فخورين بقطر. صحيح.
السعودية ربحت لنا الأرجنتين.
Guys, I don't know if soccer games are the best source of, unbiased information about one's nation. literally you're going to get the most hardcore of hardcore ultra nationalist at these fucking games.
بلد عربي 2-1 هذا ماشي فرق.
وليش صار هالشيء؟ لأن العرب لهم يعني presence وايد قوي في المباريات.
لحد الساعة ممتاز.
What I experienced was a well-organized tournament with lots of multicultural events, parties, and warm hospitality. But the moment I addressed human rights like LGBT rights or labor rights, that hospitality was gone. Here is one example of what I mean. One night I was out in the market in Souq Waqif in Doha, speaking to people and approached a local. This was his reaction when LGBT rights came up.
والله هذا شيء مش فطري ولا موجود في الحياة أساساً. شيء اخترعوه من
They're abominations.
جايين يبون يطبقون عليه.
My book said no.
إيش رأيك شو تشوف؟
هذا أكيد رأيك.
Yeah, but your book also said it's cool to have like super underage concubines. So what the fuck, man?
بس أنت عارف مجتمع الميم عين أو المثليين موجودين في قطر، موجودين في أي بلد في العالم.
ما في شيء اسمه ميم ولا بيم، في ذكر وفي أنثى.
Instead of engaging in a conversation, he immediately started making my questions personal.
أنا بسألك سؤال، أنت تؤمن بالميم؟
نعم.
تؤمن بالميم؟
أنا بؤمن بالتنوع والتعدد وكل شخص يختار ويكون كما يريد هو أو هي أن تكون.
أوكي، تؤمن ابنك ولا بنتك يكونون من الميم؟ صراحة جاوب.
في حقوق إنسان وحقوق الإنسان إنه كل شخص.
Look at this guy, bro. They love and accept constructive criticism. Okay, that's what they're looking for.
ولا بنتك.
ما هو خليني لك شغله.
أنت جاوبني بدون
خليني لك في حقوق إنسان.
ابنك ولا بنتك يكونون من الميم؟
في حقوق إنسان والحقوق الإنسان كل شخص بيختار أو بيكون كما هو أو هي تريد أن تكون.
تماما أن من داخلك أنت ما ترضى، لكن أكيد مدفوع لك.
Isn't that great? Yeah, what you're telling, I don't believe it. I actually believe deep down you have the same feelings as I feel because I'm so thick-skulled, I'm so thick-headed. There's no possible way that people could think outside of the way that I think. I am so correct. I am so sure. I am so I am so 100% sure that I have the correct point of view in the world, that I'm certain that you believe exactly what I believe in your heart. Isn't that great? That's it right there. That's the poison of religion. That's what makes a Mormon do a special ceremony over someone's grave to convert them into Mormonism after they've died. That's how that shit happens.
خلينا نتفق على شغله، ما نعمل موضوع شخصني. خلينا نتفق على شغله، خلينا ضمن حوار معين.
Yeah.
I was very quickly surrounded by others who.
Wow, dude, Qatar's nuts, dude. This would make me super uncomfortable. It is cool though how you could just start saying shit and you can just get into an argument and then motherfuckers gather around. They're like, yeah, they start taking sides. I mean, it's like this is a in Arab cultures this is very common. For to have like these big raucous political debates in front of everybody, and and it's a very communal thing. It happens in coffee shops, and this is a very cultural thing. But as an introverted American, this would make me feel very uncomfortable. Qatar is a semi-constitutional hereditary monarchy. The emir pretty much controls everything. Yeah, no, it's a dictatorship. I don't want to hear it. There ain't no fucking democracy over there. Oh, we made human rights a little bit better and we built a subway. Pat yourself on the back. That's great. And it's like, oh, what about the genocide? What about everything else the United States and Western cultures do and all the hatred of Arabs? Like, okay, yeah. So are you presenting that as an argument as to why you can't make the life of your citizens better? Oh, no, you hate us, you hate Arabs, you hate Arabs. It's like, okay, so now we're having a conversation about racism, and instead of having a conversation about improving our societies. Congratulations, it's completely derailed.
Who supported him. At some point, we were interrupted by a passerby.
ما بدنا إياه تيجي ولا إحنا بدنا نشوفه جهة. ما هي رأي هذه انحطاط خلقي وانحطاط معنوي وانحطاط جنسي. هاي ما هي حرية رأي.
Yeah, they're abominations because our book said so.
Hosting the World Cup was that it would open the country up to reform.
Who thinks that?
And while some
Who's making these arguments and who is taking them seriously? A sports event is gonna we're gonna drink beer in front of everybody and it's gonna change everything. Who? Shut the fuck up. The people making these arguments are the people who are like gonna make a shitload of money from this fucking happening. Oh yeah, it's gonna introduce new cultural norms. Shut the fuck up. That needs to happen through, long-term activism, slow chipping away. It's not going to, this isn't a Disney movie. The whole population inspired like the fucking Independence Day speech. You know what I mean? Come on. Because of a fucking soccer game? I don't even know who won or who's playing. And 99% of the population on the planet is right there with me. Yeah, I know. There are people that are obsessed with this fucking game. It's probably the most popular sport in the world. With that said, grand majority of human beings on the planet fucking don't know what the fuck is going on with World Cup or soccer. And they're certainly not being, inspired to spread democracy and change their POV on what they believe is right and wrong because of a goddamn sports game. Holy fuck.
Was that it would open the country up to reform. And while some progress has been made, my impression is that it is still very difficult to have an open conversation about human rights in the country.
It's just got to be constructive. That's all. We're happy to receive constructive criticism.
So, what do you think?
Yeah, what do you think? Like and subscribe, DW. There you go, folks. There's my Qatar coverage. There's my World Cup coverage. Go football. I hope the fucking Yankees bring it home this year. Thank you so much.